All right, we're diving into something that affects every single one of us, money. But we're not talking about spreadsheets or stock tips here. Nope, we're going to explore the hidden psychological forces that are secretly pulling the strings on our financial lives. It's messy, it's human, and it's way more powerful than you think.
So, let's start with the big question, the one that probably keeps a lot of us up at night. Why do really smart people, people who are successful in other areas of their lives, make such bafflingly bad decisions with their money? You can read all the right books, you can have a plan, and still you end up making the same old mistakes. What is going on?
And right there, that's the answer. The whole game is psychological, not logical. We're about to see exactly why your feelings, your personal biases, and your unique life story have way more control over your bank account than any fancy financial theory ever will. This isn't about math, it's all about your mindset.
Okay, first things first, let's pull back the curtain on the mental traps that are constantly working against us. You can think of these as invisible tripwires scattered all over your financial path. You usually don't even see them until after you've already stumbled.
Now get this, your personal experience with money. It's just a tiny, tiny sliver of everything that's ever happened in the financial world. But, and this is the crazy part, that tiny sliver shapes 100% of how you see things. So if you enter the workforce during a huge recession, you're going to see risk completely differently than someone who started during a boom. And neither of you is wrong. Your own experience feels like the absolute truth, which makes your choices feel perfectly rational, even when they're based on a super narrow view of the world.
And that leads us right into the traps of perception. This is where our own minds start playing tricks on us, starting with this powerful illusion that we're always 100% in control.
Just look at this story. Bill Gates is obviously a genius, but he also had this 1-in-a-million stroke of pure luck. He got access to a school computer when almost no one else on the planet did. His friend, Kent Evans, was just as brilliant, but he was hit by a 1-in-a-million stroke of risk, a tragic accident. You have two incredibly similar people, but two wildly different outcomes. It's a really humbling reminder that success is never just about hard work. Luck and risk are always part of the equation.
You know, as humans, we are absolutely wired to believe a good story over a pile of data. Just think about the lottery. The odds are insane, like 1 in 300 million, but we ignore that. Why? Because we focus on that one heartwarming story of the person who won and changed their life. The story feels good, so we want it to be true for us, too. It's the exact same thing that happened with the crypto boom. People weren't buying the math, they were buying the dream, because that story was just too powerful to resist.
So here's what this all boils down to. Trying to be mostly reasonable with your money is so much better than trying to be coldly rational. A rational spreadsheet doesn't feel fear and panic when the market tanks, but you do. A reasonable plan, on the other hand, acknowledges that you're a human being. It's designed to survive your own emotions. And that sustainability, that is what actually builds wealth over the long haul.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the external pressures. These are the traps that aren't just inside our heads, but they're all around us in society, constantly pushing us to play these social games that, financially, are basically impossible to win.
This quote gets at something really fascinating called the man in the car paradox. We buy nice things, a fancy car, an expensive watch, because we think it's going to make other people admire us. But we've got it all wrong. We're completely misunderstanding how other people's minds work.
So here's how the paradox works. When you're driving that Ferrari, you're picturing everyone on the street thinking, wow, that person is so cool. But what are they actually thinking? When someone sees that car, they don't think about you at all. They think, man, I wish I had that car. They use your stuff as a benchmark for their own desires. They're not admiring you, they're admiring your car and wanting it for themselves.
And this brings us to a really, really critical difference. Being rich is about your current income. It's the visible stuff, the car, the clothes. It's what you see. But being wealthy, that's what you don't see. It's the money that hasn't been spent yet. It's the stocks, the bonds, the assets quietly working for you, giving you freedom and options. Honestly, spending money just to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money.
You know, this social game of comparison is such a dangerous trap because there's just no finish line. The goalposts are always moving. As soon as you hit one level of success, you just look up and start comparing yourself to the people on the next level up. Even billionaires fall for it. Sam Bankman-Fried had something like $20 billion, but it wasn't enough. He risked everything he had and needed for more that he didn't, and he lost it all. The only real way to win this game is to just refuse to play.
So if we know what all these traps are, how do we actually avoid them?
Okay, let's pivot and talk about the real path forward. The powerful, and yeah, often counterintuitive ways to build real, lasting wealth.
Let's look at Warren Buffett. His real secret weapon isn't some genius stock picking formula. It's time. It's just time. This chart is incredible. It shows he made over 95% of his entire fortune after his 65th birthday. He didn't get rich by chasing massive, risky home runs. He got rich by getting pretty good, consistent returns that were left alone to compound for decades. His skill was staying in the game. This right here, this is such a huge mindset shift. When the market drops, it feels like we're being punished, like we're being fined for making a mistake. But it's not a fine, it's a fee. That uncertainty, that fear you feel, that's the price of admission you have to pay to get the long-term returns that historically come with being in the market. If you try to sneak in without paying the fee, you're going to miss the whole show.
You see, getting rich and staying rich are two completely different skills. Getting rich often takes optimism, maybe even taking some big risks. But staying rich, that's a defensive game. It's about survival. It's about humility and building in a margin for error so one bad break doesn't wipe you out. The goal isn't just about getting the highest returns. It's about staying in the game long enough for that compounding magic to really do its thing.
So after all of this, what's the point? Why are we even trying to build wealth? Because it's not about owning a yacht or just seeing a huge number in your bank account. The real goal, the ultimate prize, is something so much more profound.
The single greatest thing that money can buy is control over your time. It's freedom. Study after study shows that having a strong sense of control over your own life is a better predictor of happiness than your salary, the size of your house, anything. Real wealth is about having options. It's about autonomy.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The highest form of wealth is being able to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. It's not about being lazy. It's about having the power to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. That is real financial freedom.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own financial life, what are you building? Are you building a life of riches filled with visible things to impress other people? Or are you quietly building a life of freedom, a life where you are in the driver's seat? Because the answer to that question will define your entire journey.